breaks seasons and reposing hours, makes the night morning and the noontide night. Princes have but titles for their glories, an outward honor for an inward toil, and for unfelt imaginations, they often feel a world of restless cares, so that between their titles and low name, there's nothing differs but the outward fame.
Ho, who's there?
What wouldst thou, fellow, and how thou come hither?
I would speak with Clarence, and I came here on my feet.
What, so brief?
'Tis better, sir, than to be tedious. Let him see our commission, and talk no more.
I am in this commanded to deliver the noble Duke of Clarence to your hands. I will not reason what is meant hereby, because I will be guiltless from the meaning. There lies the Duke asleep. And here are the keys. I'll to the king and signify to him that thus I have resigned to you my charge.
You may, sir. 'Tis a point of wisdom. Fare you well. When he wakes.
Why, he shall never wake until the great judgment day.
Why, then he'll say we stabbed him sleeping.
The urging of that word judgment hath bared a kind of remorse in me.
What, that art thou afraid?
Not to kill him, having warrant, but to be demanded for killing him, from the which no warrant can defend me.
I thought thou hadst been resolute.
So I am. Let him live.
Out back to the Gloucester of Gloucester and tell him so.
Nay, I prithee thee stay a little. I hope this passionate humor of mine will change. It was wont to hold me, but while one tells 20.
How dost thou feel thyself now?
Faith, some certain dregs of conscience are yet within me.
Remember our reward when the deed's done.
As he dies, I had forgot the reward.
Where's thy conscience now?
Oh, in the Duke of Gloucester's purse.
When he opens his purse to give us our reward, thy conscience flies out.
'Tis no matter, let it go. There's few or none will entertain it.
What if it come to thee again?
I'll not meddle with it. It makes a man a coward. A man cannot steal, but it accuseth him. A man cannot swear, but it checks him. A man cannot lie with his neighbor's wife, but it detects him. 'Tis a blushing, shamefaced spirit that mutinies in a man's bosom. It fills a man full of obstacles. It maybe was restored a purse of gold that by chance I found. It beggars any man that by chance that keeps it. It is turned out of towns and cities for a dangerous thing. And every man that means to live well endeavors to trust himself and live without it.
Persuading me not to kill the Duke.
Take the devil in thy mind, and believe him not. He would insinuate with thee, but to make thee sigh.
I am strong-framed. He cannot prevail with me.
Spoke like a tall man that respects thy reputation. Come, shall we fall to work?
Take him on the coaster with the hilt of thy sword, and then throw him with mouthy shots in the next room.
Oh, excellent device. And make a stop of him.
Stop. He wakes.
Strike.
No! We'll reason with him.
We're up, cupkeeper. Give me a cup of wine.
You shall have wine enough, my lord. No.
In God's name, what art thou?
A man, as you are,
Not as I am royal.
nor you that we are loyal.
Thy voice is thunder, but thy looks are soft.
My voice is now the king's, my looks mine own.
How darkly and how deadly dost thou speak. Your eyes menace me. Why look you so dead? Who sent you hither? Wherefore do you come?
To
Murder me.
Aye.
You scarcely have the hearts to tell me so, and therefore cannot have the hearts to do it. Wherein, my friends, have I offended you?
Offended us, you have not, but the king.
I shall be reconciled with him again.
Never, my lord. Therefore, prepare to die.
Are you drawn forth amongst the world of men to slay the innocent? What is my offense? Where is the evidence that doth accuse me? What lawful quest have given their verdict unto the frowning judge? Or who pronounced the bitter sentence of poor Clarence's death? Before I convict by the course of law. To threaten me with death is most unlawful. I charge you, as you hope to have redemption by Christ's dear blood shed for our grievous sins, that you depart and lay no hands on me. the deed you undertake is damnable.
What we will do, we do upon command.
And he that hath commanded is our king.
Erroneous vassals! The great King of Kings hath in his table of his law commanded that thou shalt do no murder. Will you spurn at his edict to fulfill a man's? Take heed, for he holds vengeance in his hand to hurl upon the heads that break his law.
And that same vengeance doth he hurl at thee, for false forswearing and for murder too. Thou didst receive the sacrament to fight in the quarrel of the house of Lancaster.
And, like a traitor to the name of God, didst break that vow, and with thy treacherous blade unrippest the bowels of thy sovereign son.
Whom thou wast sworn to cherish and defend.
How canst thou urge God's undreadful law to us when thou hast break it in such dear degree?
Alas, for whose sake did I commit that ill deed? For Edward, my brother, for his sake. He sends you not to murder me for this, for in that sin he is as deep as I. If God will be avenged for that deed, oh, know you yet he doth it publicly. Take not the quarrel from his powerful arm. He needs no indirect or lawless course to cut off those who have offended him.
Who made thee then a bloody minister when gallant springing brave Plantagenet, that princely novice, was struck dead by thee?
My brother's love, the devil in thy rage.
Thy brother's love, our duty, and thy faults, provoke us hither now to slaughter thee.
If you do love my brother, hate not me. I am his brother, and I love him well. If you are hired from me, go back again, and I will send you to my brother Gloucester, who shall reward you better for my life than Edward will for tidings of my death.
You are deceived. Your brother Gloucester hates you.
Oh no, he loves me, and holds me dear. Go you to him from me.
Aye, so we will.
Tell him, when that our princely father York blessed his 3 sons with his victorious arm, he little thought of this divided friendship. Bid Gloucester think of this, and he will weep.
Aye, milestones, as he lessoned us to read.
Oh, do not slander him, for he is kind.
Right, as snow in harvest. Come, you deceive yourself. 'Tis he that sends us to destroy you here.
It cannot be! For he bewept my fortune. And he hugged me in his arms and swore with sobs that he would labor my delivery.
Why, so he doth, when he delivers you from this earth's thraldom up to the joys of heaven.
Make peace with God, for you must die, Lord.
Have you that holy feeling in your souls to counsel me to make my peace with God? And are you yet to your own souls so blind that you will war with God by murdering me? Oh, sirs, consider, they that set you on to do this deed will hate you for the deed.
What shall we do?
Relent and save your souls. Which of you, if I were a prince's son, being pent from liberty as I am now, if 2 such murderers as yourselves came to you, would you not entreat for life? Aye, you would beg, were you in my distress.
Relent? No, 'tis cowardly and womanish.
Not to relent is beastly, savage and devilish. My friend, I spy some pity in your looks. For if thine eyes be not flattered, come now on my side and retreat from me. A begging prince or a beggar, it is not.
Look behind you, my lord.
That and that! If all this will not do, I'll drown you in the mouths you baptism.
A bloody deed, and desperately dispatched. How fain, like Pilate, would I wash my hands of this most grievous murder.
How now? What meanest thou that thou helpest me not? By heaven, the Duke shall know how slack you have been.
I would he knew that I saved his brother. Take thou the fee and tell him what I say, for I repent me that the Duke is slain.
So do I not. Go, coward, as thou art. Well, I'll hide the body in some hole, till that the Duke give his order for his burial. And when I have my meed, I will away, for this will out, and then I must not stay.
So on a group level, we made a couple of distinct choices because we wanted to do it in kind of a film noir-y thing for some reason. The first thing we did was we made it in black and white, which we thought kind of showed, well, it increases the amount of shadow you can see, which is very important, especially on the murderers, because they are torn between this, this desire to fulfill their duties as well as their conscience, which is kind of the main theme we were going for, is this split between duty and conscience and how that affects decision making. So specifically when Eric, who plays the first murderer, is standing in the bars, you can see kind of the bars across his face, and it's kind of a black and white thing, and that kind of shows his mixed feelings towards the murderer, and he shows doubts throughout the whole thing, but I'll let him talk about his own choices. Additionally, we decided to set it in the tower. We had the choice between the really dark room and the really light room. We decided to go with the really dark room because we thought that better exemplified kind of the fear and the dirt and the grime that goes along with this evil plot to kill Clarence. And yeah, basically we wanted to stress conscience and guilt and remorse and redemption. Personally, I wanted to stress kind of this theme that comes in later in the scene when Clarence is begging for his life of divine justice. And so whenever I was talking about the wrath of God and kind of God, I would get really intense and really angry, and kind of, that was when the power shifted in the scene. If you notice, kind of, when I started talking about God, I would get really close and they would back up, and then when they started talking about kind of how he wanted to kill me, how Richard was wanting to kill me, I started backing up, and so it was kind of this difference between the all-knowing, omniscient Lord and then the human conscience. And we thought that was really important. That's why I tried to make some of the choices that I did.
Right. I played the first murderer in this scene, and I'm more of the confident murderer in orchestrating Clarence's death. I'm trying to convince Eric throughout the entire scene to kill him without feeling guilty, and when he's feeling doubt, I kind of like encourage him on about the reward. And so in the first part of the scene, where the two murderers are alone on the stage, we have, as we're walking up the tower, I'm leading the way, and kind of, it's almost as if I'm having Eric follow me, and I'm pulling him along to get him to agree with my confident decision in killing Clarence. And then I feel like Shakespeare's intention was to have him be more confident and not feel any remorse. And that's also emphasized in the last line of the scene. He closes it up with saying, talking about how the second murderer is like a coward, and how he just like kind of flees, and he has this remorse towards killing him, and I'm actually the one who does the stabbing, and so I'm kind of, my character is more like just focused on the reward and not focused as much on what it means to kill someone, which Eric's character is focused more on.
In our edition of Richard III, Act 1, Scene 4, when Richard is murdered by the first murderer and second murderer, I have a very small part of Lieutenant Brackenbury. He does serve a very important role in the scene, however, as in the transition to when the murderers enter, his first lines are right before that, and he sets up this symbolism of dark and light, where he speaks of the night becoming morning and the noontide becoming night. Which reflects the moral changes that one of the murderers has between feeling guilt for guilty for killing Clarence, and then not guilty because he is getting a reward. And I think my choices as an actor were mainly I positioned myself in the light or in front of a backlight to show sort of caught in between the dark and the light, and having the murderers come from in front of me. Additionally, the choice of leaning up against the wall and acting very nonchalant sort of shows that I am hands off in this manner, that I really don't take care what actually happens. I see what's happening, but it doesn't affect me, and I think Shakespeare is trying to, in his play, was trying to show a lack of how this sort of bystander effect, if it doesn't affect you, you don't have any care in the matter, which is seen in Brackenbury after he reads the commission and says, essentially says, I don't know why this is happening, but I take no guilt in this, and I am going to leave and tell the king that I have been released of my charge. So I think in that way I tried to play the character as Shakespeare intended, obviously with a bit of a twist, and that's why I played the character Brackenbury as I did.
In our rendition of the scene from Richard III, in which the two murderers kill Clarence, I play the second murderer, and he's a very interesting character in that there are multiple points in the scene where he goes through self-conscious, where he essentially feels guilt at what he's about to do and what he has done, and it's very interesting how he overcomes that guilt, and it's very interesting once again how he can once again never get that guilt out of his mind, even after he seems to overcome it and murders Clarence. So the first choice I made when I was playing the character was to act very. I have a line in which I say, "I am resolved to let him live," essentially, and in that scene I forced the prison gate closed, and in front of Geneva, and as a symbolic gesture of me refusing to step within the prison, and in a sense trap myself within trap myself by murdering a person and forever be trapped with the knowledge of the fact that I am a murderer. And that was the first choice I made. The second choice that I made was the first murderer and I, Geneva and I, switched places as we walked up the stairs. Walk up the spiral staircase to reflect the changing positions of guilt. So after I overcome the guilt, and decide that I will overcome the guilt because of the opportunity for monetary gain, I walk behind Geneva almost as if I am pushing her up the stairs and pushing her forward. And when she starts to feel guilt, she goes behind me as if to kind of imply that she is wavering in her decision to be there, and I am the one who's still striving ahead forward, and while she is behind and feeling as if she is, and she, the only reason is it's almost as if the only reason she's following is because I am leading her up the stairs, which is kind of symbolic of the interaction between the first and second murder. The final choice that I made was to use the window in the tower to say my second to last line, in which I talk about how I feel guilty about the murder, and I reference Pilate. I used the window and the light that kind of shed that washed over me, I suppose, in order to emphasize that I was attempting to absolve myself of the murder by asking for forgiveness, and essentially the light that is on me, as well as kind of the darker side, and the way the light plays off my body is symbolic of that attempt to absolve myself of murder and become innocent again, but the darkness is symbolic of the fact that I am still a murderer and can never be free of that fact. So my part in the scene.